Welcome back to H360 Health Talk. Joining me today is Scott Prendergast from Minding Your Mind, a nonprofit in the Philadelphia area doing great work with students and educators. Scott, thanks for coming in today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
And so what's the most common thing you hear when you're at a school and you present, you share your story, you have time to interact with the students afterwards? Is there a common theme that you're hearing, or is it kind of all over the board?
Yeah, so I hear a lot of different things depending upon the age group, but one of the things that's always common is when you were going through depression, did anybody know? Did your roommates in college know? Did your friends know? And my answer is always simply, they did not. Because I always put on such a good face. I acted as if life was great all the time. There was no problems with me. Everything was all fine and dandy. And then when I was in my room and I could never get out of bed, my friends just assumed, oh, he's tired because he's working so hard from school. Or, oh, he's just so busy with school. That's why he's like that. So it's nobody's fault because I put on such a good face. I like to say I should have been an actor because I made everybody think I was this great and everything was fine, when in reality, I was really struggling inside. So that's the common theme I get from people is saying, how did people not know? And I always take away from that saying, look, in your lives, there may be someone who's struggling right now. And it's worth for you to ask them, hey, how are you doing? Just to open a conversation up about it. Because I would have opened up so much sooner if I had someone to talk about earlier than I did.
Scott, what are some of the things that you don't want to say? If you notice somebody and you kind of sense that they might be depressed, a comment like "pull yourself up by the bootstraps" is not
Right.
a good thing to say, right?
Correct.
So what are some of those things? How should people look at this? One, maybe let's take a step back. One, identify, right? Be able to identify if there is something going on. And then if they sense it or feel it, then what do you advise somebody do, and what do you advise they don't say?
Right. So there are a lot of different things that could go into this. Now, one of the main things is a lot of times people will see usually a young adult who is upset and say, oh, that's just normal teenager stuff. They're fine. It's just hormones or whatever it is going crazy. And yes, that can be true. But we notice that with depression specifically, if this is a prolonged pattern, I'm talking weeks or months of feeling hopeless, of feeling worthless, of feeling like they have lost their interest and they can't even get out of bed in the mornings, then we need to start looking at, okay, this might be clinical depression. And this is something that needs attention. Now, a lot of times as parents or teachers or friends, whoever it might be, the last thing you ever want to say to someone is, oh, get yourself together. You don't have it that bad. What you're going through isn't valid. Because I can guarantee you that person already thinks in their mind that their issues aren't valid. And if someone else tells them that, they're going to really think, wow, there must be something wrong with me that I'm feeling this way, which leads to a lot of other things as well. And it's also important never to just say to someone, oh, it'll get better. And I know that sounds weird off the cuff because people think, oh, that's being positive. And it is. But when someone's going through depression, you don't want to just hear, oh, it'll get better. You want to hear, okay, well, how can I get to the point where it will get better? And so maybe talking to someone and saying, it'll get better, here's some help that I can do to help you out so it will get better, as opposed to just brushing it off as if it's not really an issue.
So tell me about some of the services that Minding Your Mind has as an organization. I mean, they're obviously you're part of it, and you're going out and you're talking and you're opening up conversation and you're kind of shining a spotlight on mental health. And what are some of the other services that your organization provides?
Right, so we have a couple of different services. I'll talk about our main ones. So we have the Young Adult Speaker Program, which is what I'm a part of, traveling to different schools as a speaker, sharing your own story. Then we also have something called a Just Talk About It, which is a very unique program. It combines a young adult speaker as well as a licensed clinician. And they work together to usually speak to in front of either teachers or parents, depending upon who it is. And so you'll have the young adult speaker who will share their story. And then you'll also have the clinician who will talk about facts and how to identify depression and what to do if a student comes up to you and says they're thinking about this or that. And so it's a really unique thing because you get a real world perspective of someone who's dealing with it now, and then you get more of the clinical side as well. So the parents and teachers get to see both of that. Those are our two main programs. We also have QPR, which is something with suicide prevention training, how we can work with that. And we also have mindfulness programs, which is usually for the business or workplace on just how to be mindful of your mental health and strategies to work on to calm yourself down. And when symptoms come, how to kind of work with those.
It seems to be over the last several years, this notion of mindfulness has really kind of taken off.
Right.
And so, what are some of the things that in a work environment, or a social environment, how can somebody be aware and implement mindfulness techniques into their daily routine?
Self-talk is something that we all have. Think about it. If you're in school and you get a 55 on a math test, first thing you say, "Oh, I'm so stupid, I'm so dumb." We don't think about that because it's an automatic negative thought. But being mindful would say, "Hey, no, wait a minute." Instead of saying, "Oh, I'm so stupid," be like, "Okay, this wasn't the best opportunity, but I know that I'm better than this. I know that I'm worth more than this, and this is not who I am. This doesn't define me." So it's about recognizing when you have things such as negative self-talk come into your mind, whether it's in a social environment, whether it's in work, and being able to recognize it and counteract it with something positive or something that's not going to bring you down to the point where over time it could lead to depression. Because if you go throughout your day with constant negative talk, automatic negative self-thoughts, over time those thoughts will lead to depression. And a lot of people don't realize that because they think it's something they can't change when in fact you can. And that's what mindfulness is all about, is being aware of, okay, I'm saying this to myself, I'm putting myself down constantly, I'm going to start leading myself down the road of depression eventually.
I think you're making a difference in a lot of people's lives. So keep up the great work. And I hope you come back on H360 Health Talk and keep us informed on your new website and things that you're introducing into the services that you guys offer. So thank you very much.
Of course, thank you for having me.